Hey, everybody. Today I want to talk about a story from the New Testament that you're probably all very familiar with, and you can find it in Mark chapter 5. And it's the story of two healings that Jesus did on the same day. And the first involves the woman with the issue of blood. She had a hemorrhage for like 12 years, had been to all these doctors back then, and she had spent all of her money on looking for medical treatment for her situation, and there was none. And so she thought Jesus is going to be walking past here, so if I can only touch the hem of his garment, if I can just touch his garment, I will receive my healing. And so she goes out into the crowd to do that. And at the same time, Jairus, who was a local official in the synagogue, is also looking for Jesus because his daughter is at the point of death and he wants Jesus to come and pray over her. And so the one who gets there first is the woman with the issue of blood. And she touches his clothing and he immediately knows that power has gone out of him. And he's like, "Who touched me?" And so the woman says, "It was me." And the thing is, she took a huge risk in going out into the crowd because she wasn't supposed to be there. She had an issue of blood, and so she was supposed to stay by herself. And she was healed. And it was really her faith in what would happen that got her healed. And so while Jesus is talking to her, some people come and tell Jairus, "Well, your daughter has died, so don't bother the teacher anymore." And Jesus hears what they're saying, and he looks at Jairus and he says something that I want to talk about today. He says, "Do not be afraid, only keep believing." And Jairus, I'm sure, when he was told that his daughter had died, thought, well, there's nothing he can do. And Jesus is like, "No, no, 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 no. Don't give up. Don't be afraid. Do not let fear enter. Only keep believing." And so they went to Jairus' house, and there were all these people who were mourning and crying, and Jesus basically tossed him out and said, "She's only sleeping," and they laughed at him. So he went into the room with a select few people, told her to get up, and she got up, and she was raised from the dead. And I want to go back to that. Do not be afraid, only keep believing. And I'm going to say some things today that might cause some of you to disagree with me. And that's fine. If you want to, that's all right. But I'm here to say today that what God really trades in is faith, not fear and not begging. A lot of people go to God and they need something and they just beg and beg and beg, and then they don't get it. And they're like, "Well, he just didn't answer my prayer." And it's like, well, maybe you didn't do it right. And I'm not saying I always get mine answered, but I get a lot of my prayers answered. What God has provided for us is the Bible. And the Bible has a whole lot of promises in it. And so, for instance, if you need a healing in your body, or you need money, or you need a relationship restored, there is a verse in the Bible somewhere that you can look at and say, "This is mine." And you go to God and say, "In your word, you said this. I'm claiming this in my life. You said this. You said you would provide. You said you would heal. You said by Jesus' stripes I was healed. You said, this, and you said that. I'm holding you to this," and have faith in it. Because, Jairus was an official at the synagogue. He wouldn't have come to Jesus and asked him to come and heal his daughter if he didn't think he could. He had faith. The woman who with the issue of blood, she had faith. She had nothing else. She had faith. And what happens a lot of times is we're in the middle of something and we start begging. And I don't think God responds to that. He's like, "I've given you something that you can come to me and say, that you can say, hey, you promised this. I need this in my life right now. I call this done in my life right now." That's what he's looking for, is faith. And so if we come to him with faith, then we can expect to have our prayers answered. It might not be in the time frame that we want. I mean, those were immediate ones, right? I mean, that's awesome. It's not always immediate. But if we come to Him in faith with His own words from the Bible, what we ask for will be done. It might not be done in the way that I anticipate it. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay in what I think there should be, or maybe it doesn't come in exactly the form I anticipated, but it comes. And the main thing is to remember that God trades in faith. That's what He responds to. He doesn't respond to fear. And when you go and you beg, that's fear. You beg Him because you don't believe He's going to be doing anything. I mean, that's kind of harsh to say, but it's true. If you go begging somebody for something, it's like a last resort. And you don't have a lot of faith that whatever you're asking for is going to be done. But you have to go to Him in faith and say, I believe. I believe. I will not be afraid. I will keep believing, which is what He told Jairus to do. So if you find yourself in the middle of something and you've been doing the begging thing, you need to stop. Just don't do that. Don't do the begging thing, because that will not move God. But if you go to Him and say, I know you can do this, and I know you will do this, and I am calling it done, because faith, remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Faith is basically saying, I know it's over there. I don't have it yet. I'm saying I do. It's as if I have it right now, even though I don't. And that is so weird for humans to have to understand. But that's what it is. Faith basically says, I have it. Even if you can't see it, or you can't feel it, or nobody else can see it. You have to have faith. That is what we walk on as Christians. That is what we deal in every day. That is what God wants to hear from us. I have faith that you can do this, Father. Thank you for doing it for me. And I call it done. And it sounds really simple, but it's also really hard sometimes, because our minds start working and saying, I'm not sure this is going to happen, so maybe I should come up with a solution here. But if we really want God to provide for us and to heal us and, to have the verses and the promises that He's given us come true in our lives, we have to have faith. That's what we're walking on every single day. So, sorry if I hurt somebody's feelings today, but I want you to stop begging. Don't beg. Get to the point where you have faith in what He has said and what He's going to do, and then you will see a response. So, have a great week and be blessed.